Hey everybody. All right. Who are the gang stalkers? I'm going to give it to you in a nutshell. Think of envy, rage, fear, insecurity, and lack of self-awareness. I want you to imagine envy, rage, fear, lack of self-awareness. Now, just the sounds of those words kind of make my skin crawl, especially when you group them all together. Unfortunately, these are the gang stalkers. We can almost start and stop the video right here. Why do people do this? How could they? Who would spend their time, planning for someone else's demise, especially when that someone else doesn't really deserve a lynch mob, right? I don't know about any of you all who have either been mobbed or gang stalked. Sure, you didn't kill anybody. You didn't rape anyone, okay? Did you really deserve this? Well, in the eyes of gang stalkers and mobbers, you're the bad guy. You probably made them see or confront themselves, or you probably didn't buy into the projection that they wanted you to buy into. You see, and again, it has to do with the leadership in the organization. And oftentimes, these are the leaders in hierarchical organizations. Forget about the idea of integrity. Very few of us have integrity. Some of us do, okay? But in this society today, integrity doesn't really bring you too far, folks, okay? It's very dog-eat-dog. Now, I'm not smiling because I find that wonderful or great. Definitely not. But it's time to look at the truth and make some choices from there. And always remember, you can't have it both ways. We can't have it both ways. It's not like you can work in this kind of an environment and, maintain your core self and be who you are. No, you better leave who you are at home, including, your integrity, including your integrity. Because if you're working in this kind of an environment, you're surrounded by these kind of people, you're going to have to really keep your head down, my friends. I've done it. Like I said, I did it for a really long time. It does not feel good. You have to make a choice at some point. But we'll get back to that another time. Let's talk again about those gang stalkers. Now, when I say envy, rage, fear, and lack of self-awareness, I will illustrate, okay? So here we go. I'm going to talk about a couple of women that I worked with, and I'm going to talk about a couple of men that I worked with, just to illustrate what I'm talking about. So here, I'm working with these two women who ultimately became mobbers. And I do take my responsibility in this because I just heard too much. I should have put up the stops a long time before. I just didn't see any harm in it because I'm not a talker, okay? They're telling me stuff, but I'm not spreading anything around and I'm not gossiping. But that's a problem, okay? Because that's part of group identity stuff. So if you're in a gossipy place and you don't gossip, that's not good. They notice that. Anyhow, back to the point. Two women, two very different profiles. The similarity between these women actually was their age. They were both in their early 40s. Nice-looking ladies, both in their early 40s. Another similarity is that each of them had been with their boyfriend on and off for about 5 years. There's the similarity. The differences between these ladies. One lady was a clerk, not very wealthy, no pretense, just whatever, normal person doing a job. And there you go. The other one was had a lot of icing, all right? So wealthy, drove a fancy car, had a rich boyfriend, and there you go. So you have these two women. Now, the first one, the one who was the clerk, all of a sudden, one day, she's getting engaged. So she's showing everybody her ring, which is fine, no problem. It enraged the other woman. I found it peculiar because I'm like, well, here's this little clerk, right? And I knew some of the backstory to this whole thing. It's not like it was a wonderful union and she got engaged. Actually, there was a whole backstory. I'll make a long story short. Her fiance had actually slept with someone else about a month before he bought her the ring. Because she had told me this stuff. So when she's showing the ring around, I'm like, oh, wonderful. But, and again, I had to hide my face because you see everything. It's just, that's not my fault. It just is what it is. Bad poker player. But that's besides the point. So that's happening. But then we have this rich one who's all pissy. And I'm like, man, and you should have seen her Elizabeth Taylor ring. It wasn't an engagement ring, but it was this really great ring. And I'm like, what the hell? So I didn't say, why are you so jealous or anything of the sort. I just said, well, let her have her day, right? Like, let her be happy. I go, there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, she's proud. She's engaged. Well, shortly thereafter, I started to figure out what was going on. Because the rich one, you know, started discussing and disclosing things to me that I never wanted to know. But shame on me for not putting up my boundaries. So she starts telling me details of her relationship, which was absolutely miserable. Her relationship with a man from another culture. She had never met the parents. She absolutely wanted to be married or engaged because she kept talking about it, but she wouldn't say it overtly. Okay. The car that she drove, the luxury vehicle, she didn't afford it her. She couldn't afford it herself. He bought it for her. She had this shame about this. And here was a person who was just a whirlwind of negativity, like a vortex. No matter how good it looked on the outside, it was a disaster on the inside. All kinds of problems. I won't get into the nitty-gritty. I could just say that it was a vortex of crap. Now, instead of her looking at her own situation and trying to fix certain things and looking at her reality, she's pointing the finger all over the place, right? Okay. So that's a big part of it, okay? A lot of this finger pointing is happening. And people aren't looking deeply inwards is where they should be looking. They're looking outwards, okay? Whether it be blaming people or, you know, noticing the foibles and follies of others. These are mobbers and gang-stalkers. That's what they do. That's what they do. No matter how old they are, okay? So another one is projection. So now we'll talk about the guys. The guys thought they were all that and then some tough guys, you know. Everybody's trying to be macho and cool. And then you have a couple of them that aren't trying to be macho and cool, that are playing the passive-aggressive games that the women play. Because they don't have it. And they're ashamed also. And they talk about it. And who do they talk to? Me. So I'm privy to all kinds of information from these people. Okay? So gang-stalkers and mobbers have no core identity. Whether it's been lost along the way, I don't know. They just don't have it. They don't have a vibration of love. They are not self-aware. Okay? They are filled with envy, rage, and fear. So if you're being gang-stalked or mobbed, you should almost be proud, because there's something about you that reminds them of their own failings, their own fear of being who they are. They all try to fit the group norm standard, even though it doesn't suit them deep down inside. Okay? Their egos are not healthy ones. Their egos are based on projections. They wait to see what other people think of them in order to feel good about themselves. They're used to everybody nodding yes. The moment they see that somebody's not buying it, they're going to hate. So if you're working in such an environment, I suggest you get a little pair of glasses. Okay? Shades, if you will. So they don't see your soul. Because you are the truth that they do not want to see. Sorry. That's just the way it is. So they're very little people. Don't be afraid. We're going to talk about gang stalking next video. You take care. Foxy D signing off. Namaste.